What happens when you take the legendary musicians from Rage Against the Machine and smash them together with the greatest rock singer of a generation from Soundgarden? You get Audioslave, one of the most insane supergroups of all time. They sold millions of albums, played to crazy crowds, and then it all came crashing down. Today we're breaking down how Audioslave became one of the biggest bands in the world and then completely vanished. It's the year 2000. Rage Against the Machine, one of the biggest political bands on earth, just implodes. Their frontman, Zach De La Roche, quits because the band's decision-making process completely failed. This leaves the guitarist, bassist, and drummer totally stranded. At the exact same time, Chris Cornell, the legendary singer from the grunge band Soundgarden, is also on his own and looking for what's next. You have two of the most powerful forces in rock with nothing to do. This is where things get crazy. So how did this even happen? It was all thanks to legendary producer Rick Rubin. Rubin basically challenged the guys from Rage by playing them the Soundgarden song Slaves and Bulldozers to show them what Chris Cornell's voice could do. He even got them into group therapy to deal with the split from their old singer. They weren't just looking for another frontman, they were trying to create something entirely new. And when Chris Cornell flew to LA to jam with them, the chemistry was electric. Guitarist Tom Morello said the moment Cornell started singing was transcendent. In only 19 days, they wrote an unbelievable 21 songs. It was absolutely insane. But the group almost died before it even started. Their managers and record labels started fighting, and for a few weeks in 2002, Chris Cornell literally quit the band. It was completely over. But they didn't give up. They fired both management teams and decided to do it themselves. They were back and ready to take over. On November 19, 2002, Audioslave dropped their first album, and it was a monster. The first single, Cochise, was everywhere, and the album sold a massive 162,000 copies in its first week, debuting at number 7 on the Billboard Top 200. This wasn't Rage or Soundgarden, this was something totally different, with Cornell's haunted, existential poetry and Morello's insane guitar solos. The album went on to sell over 3 million copies in the US alone and more than 8 million worldwide. Songs like a Stone and I Am the Highway took over rock radio and became instant classics. And they didn't stop there. Their second album, 2005's Out of Exile, went straight to number 1 on the Billboard charts. They were on top of the world. Then they did something nobody had ever done before. On May 6th, 2005, Audioslave became the first American rock band to play a giant free outdoor concert in Havana, Cuba. They played a historic 26-song set for a crowd of about 50,000 people. It was a massive cultural moment. They weren't just a band, they were literally changing history. But even with all this success, things were secretly falling apart. Chris Cornell later said there were problems from day one, and that it felt like he suddenly had step-parents. He said that once the band stopped being fun, he didn't want to be a part of it anymore. They were arguing over everything from the musical direction to the politics of the band. For the third album, Revelations, they changed their sound to be more funk and soul inspired. Critics actually liked it, but it didn't sell nearly as well. And then the band made a huge mistake. They decided not to tour the album. A band that doesn't tour is a band that's in trouble. Breakup rumors started flying everywhere. The Rage guys were talking about reuniting with Zach, and Chris Cornell was busy writing You Know My Name, the theme song for the James Bond film Casino Royale. The unstoppable supergroup was grinding to a halt, and the end was near. Then, on February 15th, 2007, Chris Cornell dropped a bomb. He released a public statement saying he was permanently leaving the band Audioslave because of irresolvable personality conflicts as well as musical differences. Get this, he hadn't spoken to his bandmates in months, and they found out he quit the exact same day the public did. At the exact same time, Rage Against the Machine announced their reunion for that year's Coachella Festival. The door on Audioslave was slammed shut. For 10 years, that was it. But then on January 20th, 2017, they did the impossible. They reunited for one last show at the anti-inaugural ball in Los Angeles. They tore through Cochise, Like a Stone, and Show Me How to Live, and the performance was so epic it gave fans hope they were really back. Cornell even said more shows were always a possibility. Tragically though, just 4 months later, that possibility was gone forever. On May 18th, 2017, Chris Cornell died by suicide after a long battle with depression. His death was a devastating blow to the music world and meant Audioslave could never return. His former bandmates later paid tribute to him by playing an instrumental version of Like a Stone with a single spotlight shining on an empty microphone. Audioslave's story is one of the craziest in rock history. For 6 years and 3 albums, they weren't just a side project. They were one of the biggest bands on the planet. They were a lightning in a bottle supergroup that burned unbelievably bright and then just flamed out. They proved that sometimes putting the most explosive ingredients together creates the biggest explosion. I want to know what you think was the real magic behind Audioslave. Was it Chris Cornell's incredible voice, Tom Morello's insane guitar skills, or Rick Rubin's crazy idea to put them together? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more insane rock stories.